Kia ora, I'm Paul Mason and we're sitting outside, surrounded by beautiful birdsong, to read from my book, The International Yeti Collective. An odd thing about humans, thought Tick as he thrust his spade into the soil for the umpteenth time that afternoon, was their smell. Or rather the fact that they didn't have one. How was it possible to go through life without a smell? Tick, he with no time to waste, stopped digging and gazed round at the fungusatory, the walls of the cavern towering high, its jagged ceiling dimly lit by fireflies. On the cavern floor around him, dozens of hefty yeti milled about in the gloom, digging up soil, spreading new spores, turning over compost heaps. Even in the mud, Tick could still make out the unease in their shaggy faces. Worry hung over the fungus farm like a rain cloud. Word had it that a group of humans had set up their cocoons beside the river, not 1,000 strides from the set. Humans rarely came this far north, and their sudden arrival had sent everyone into a spin. Yeti knew to stay well clear of people, as sure as eating pine cones gave you wind. Or at least that's what every Yeti learned. But Tick's mother must have known something different. When he was just a fledgling, she crossed paths with humans in broad daylight and never even tried to deny it. The elders swiftly banished her, and the weight of disgrace still hung around Tick's neck like a boulder. No one even uttered his mum's name anymore. She had become she of whom no one speaks. The mother Tick remembered was good and kind and true. If she had been with humans, there must have been a reason. And now humans were right here, on the mountain. Just go and look at them. A little fly of an idea buzzed in his head. Maybe you'll find answers. Tick swatted it away. He knelt down and with gentle fingers harvested a handful of tiny fungi, lifting them out and placing them in his basket. With the basket now full, Tick got up and tied the handle to one of the vines dangling from the ceiling. He gave the vine a soft tug and watched as the basket rose to the tunnels above, to be collected by scatterer yeti and dispersed on the forest floor and beyond. It was always the same in the fungusatory, thought Tick. Each yeti in their place, like ants in a nest, their movements steady and methodical, spreading fungi into the world, just like it was in his father's time and his father's before him. Tick tried to remember his father, but it was hopeless. His dad had passed on before Tick had even learned to walk. What had he made of life down here? There had to be more to the world than growing and picking fungi. "Hey, Tick!" came a voice in his ear, breaking him from his thoughts. It was Plum, she sweet on the outside with hard centre. Plum was on watering duty, lugging a bucket. "Did you hear the news? It's all over the farm. There are humans on the mountain." "I heard." Tick tried to sound unconcerned. "Oh yeah, humans within striding distance, and Tick isn't interested." Plum teased. She put down her bucket and parted the soft fur on her cheeks and found a nit, popping it in her mouth. "What do you think they're up to?" Tick shrugged. "I doubt it's good." "Humans, we have no smell," Plum moaned, raising her hands and reaching for his throat, her face twisted into a grimace. Tick laughed, raising his hands too. "We want to find your set," he wailed. A shout came across the fungusatory. "You two, back to work!" It was Nag, he who pesters, the fungusatory elder. Tick could see him over by the water wheel, talking to Dahl, guardian of the set. They were probably discussing the human situation. Dahl, he who smells the fiercest, was taller and wider than any yeti in the fungusatory, with great shoulders and arms like tree trunks. In one hand he held the mighty rumble stick, the guardian's staff, worn smooth by generations of hands. Dahl's neck was thick, and his mammoth head rose into a slight cone shape. "Better hop to it," said Plum, lifting her bucket. Tick bent down and picked up his spade again, pausing at the sight of a large and rather poisonous-looking centipede burrowing back down into the soil. He grabbed hold and showed the wriggling bug to Plum. "Want half?" Plum shook her head as she wandered off. "All yours." "Suit yourself," said Tick, munching. The message soon got round the farm that Greatrix was having emergency speaks about the humans in the grub hall before the naming custom that evening. Greatrix the wise, keeper of the carving, silverback of the set, he who knows most. When the final horn sounded soon after, Tick dumped his tools, and when he couldn't find Plum anywhere, he mumbled a quiet goodbye to some of the others and padded out of the fungusatory and into the passageway. The tunnel climbed to the upper part of the set, Tick following the signs back towards the Yeti dens, though he could have found his way blindfolded. He stopped in his den to wash his hands and face, gave himself a quick run over with his flea comb, and left straight away. But when he got to the grub hole, he saw that all the benches were already full. Every Yeti in the set was there, the cavern full of nervous murmuring. He spied Plum waving at him from the far end of the cavern, her nut-brown eyes dancing with excitement. "I saved you a spot," she mouthed. Tick went over and sat down, giving her shoulder a fond pat. His best friend was always looking out for him. Plum was an orphan too. She knew what it felt like. At the head of the cavern sat the elders. Greatrix, with Dahl ever present at his right hand, joined by Nag and the others from the Council of Elders, Lint, Slop and Gruff. In front of them, resting on a bed of moss, were the precious slabs. As ancient as the mountains, as ancient as the world itself. Chiselled into the heavy rock blocks, in flowery old-fashioned Yeti script, were the Yeti laws. These were the words and history that guided every Yeti deed. Legend said the Earth Mother set the laws in stone in the time of darkness and passed them down to each of her children. Tick learned to listen to the slabs almost before he'd had a chance to break his first wind. Written in the carvings was the tale of how Earth Mother sent her children out into the world. They spoke of the Yeti known as Almas, who went north to the land of the high plateau. They were tall and mighty, their legs long, their fur as red as earth. To them fell the duty to protect snow mountains. To the west were the Barmanu, guardians of mountains and glaciers. Across wide oceans were the Bigfoot, carers of mangroves and wetlands, and the Monogrande, keepers of the toads. In steamy jungles lived the Mande Barung, growers of medicinal plants, and the Orang Pendek with their long hair, the protectors of tigers and forests. They were all there, carved in stone, 20 sets, their tales written in the old writing. But now there were only 19 left, and the story behind that was drummed into every youngling. How one of Earth Mother's children abandoned her slabs, the one called human. And now, many cycles later, she didn't even look like a Yeti at all. Humans had lost most of their fur, and they didn't have a smell beyond the mildest whiff. They had even forgotten how to tree stride. So why had Tick's mum tangled with them? "You need to find out," buzzed the fly idea. "Stop pestering," answered Tick aloud. "What did you say?" asked Plum beside him. Nothing." Dahl thumped the floor with his great staff just once, and the hall fell silent apart from the constant growling and rumbling of dozens of Yeti stomachs. Greatrix rose to his feet, his silver hair long and his face as dark as night itself. He touched his hand to his chest, and then to his head. The Yeti stood as one, and returned his greeting. Greatrix waited for the gathering to take their seats again. He rested his hands on the slabs as he spoke, as if gaining strength from their wisdom. "Malodorous Yeti, before the joyous naming custom begins, we must turn our thoughts to a serious matter." Greatrix peered over the gathered throng to make sure they were listening. "No doubt you've all caught wind of humans coming to the mountain. Dahl, with his own eyes, discovered them from a distance yestermoon." This brought a round of anxious burbling. Greatrix silenced the crowd once more. "It is written that long ago people and Yeti were one and the same, but not now. Humans want to hunt us down, find our sets, and expose us to their world. Beware. The toad does not come into sunlight without good reason." There were anxious moments of agreement throughout the cavern at the silverback's words. Greatrix raised his hand. "I'm putting the set on the hush. The mountain is out of bounds. No tree striding, no foraging, no rummaging, no mooching, no wandering. Not so much as a stroll, so it is written in the slabs. Hear me as I speak." Again the cavern filled with grumbles. Flab, he with stomach like boulder, raised a long hairy arm. "But what of our grub? What will we eat?" He patted his enormous bulk, and there were worried noises from some of the others. Greatrix raised his hand. "Rest easy. The kitchen assures me that even after tonight's feast we will have enough grub to last us more than a few moons." He nodded over at Nosh, she who makes nibbles, in her apron. "And tomorrow Dahl will lead a collecting team on a secret gathering trip. We shall draw stalks." Greatrix held up a hollow tree stump filled with grass stalks. Each one was marked with the scent of a Yeti in the set. "I hope it's not either of us," Plum whispered, but Tick's fingers drummed on his knee, over and over. "Pick me," they said. "Pick me." Greatrix shook the tree stump, rattling the stalks, and then drew out the first one. Dahl ran it underneath his large, wide nostrils. "Dull," he announced, she with blank stare, followed by Gab, she who prattles, and Itch, he with skin complaint. Dahl took the final stalk and breathed in. "Tick," he intoned at last. Tick's head buzzed. "Now you can go and see the humans for yourself," said the idea fly. "You know that's why you wanted to be chosen." "You think I should?" thought Tick. "Let the naming custom begin," Greatrix commanded, to loud cheers from the crowd.